of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we head into the meat of our meeting, I just want to take a moment. Actually, I'd like to have a moment of silence. We lost one of our longest-running commissioners within the last few days, Ethel Yops, who was almost 100 years
Almost just shy
almost
of
100 years old and was still showing up for every meeting. So I would like to take a moment of silence, and then I'm going to ask Uda to say a few words about her. So. Uda, if you would.
Thank you. I have had the tremendous honor of serving with Ethel and her husband before her, Bob Yops. They've been involved with the Grosse Ile Township for at least the 27 years that I've been involved on the board. Ethel joined the Rec Commission and was coming to every meeting every month. She and I sat side by side at the end of the table there, and she had her meticulously written out notes. Someone once mocked our commission because we were still giving out phone numbers, and Ethel reminded them that there are many, many seniors who do not use the internet, who do not have online services, who depend on their phones. She was just shy of 100. She had maybe, I would say, the last month and a half of illness. The township was her family every day at the hospital. A wonderful selection of men and women that she knew from the community, from church, from the township came to visit her and keep her company. And these themselves are wonderful people. But what I guess strikes me the most is that for a woman to be almost 100 years old, to have come into this world during a very, very different time, Ethel was one of the most progressive people I've ever known. She was very positive, very forward-thinking. She was just a fantastic role model for all of us. She was accepting of all people and treated everybody she knew with respect, even if she disagreed with them, even if she maybe was angry with them, but she treated everyone with respect. And on the commission, she will be very, very deeply missed. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Uda. All right, on we go. Additions, deletions. Seeing none, I would like a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I would mention that Jameson is not here tonight. He's excused, so it'll just be the six of us going at it. Next, we have a presentation by an Eagle Scout project. Enzo, and I apologize if I goof up your name. Bonomo, is that close enough? Okay, Enzo is going to tell us about his Eagle Scout presentation. And Carl, if you would, Carl's been working on this through the Open Space Greenways. If you could give us a little background before Enzo would come on up, thank you.
Very briefly, we have reached out to the Boy Scout Troop 1261 on several occasions. They have come through magnificently, and on this project, Enzo was contacted. Chair Bill Stevenson and myself have met with Enzo several times over at his parents' house and discussed the project, gave him a couple of options, see what he'd be interested in, and he came up with the most difficult one and said, I want to tackle that. As my understanding is Enzo is now involved in learning the intricacies of getting licenses, approvals, certifieds from both the Army Corps of Engineers and Eagle, because the site of the project is on a body of water adjacent to or flowing into an international and certainly a state body of water, being the Detroit River. With that being said, Enzo, I'd like to have you introduce the people that you came here with tonight that are supporting you. I think I recognize your father out there, and other members here that are support you, and that you could introduce to both the township present and those people at home.
I got my scoutmaster, Mr. Mahan, and then his son Gavin, who's the assistant senior patrol leader, and my father over there, and my grandparents.
Thank you all for coming. So with that, Enzo, is that tall enough for you? We can bring that up.
That should be good.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, get near the mic because it's a little sensitive as far as picking up.
Hi, my name is Enzo Bonimo, and today I'd like to discuss with you my potential Eagle Scout project. So a little bit about me. I've been a scout since first grade, so that's since 2015. I'm the current senior patrol leader of Troop 1261, and I'm also the current den chief of the Cub Scout Troop 1261. I've gotten a couple awards for scouting, the Charles H. Towns Nova Award, the National Outdoor Service Award, and the Den Chief Service Award. And I've also had a very big interest in zoology and conservation. I had a volunteer job at the Toledo Zoo, and so I've always cared about the environment and all that. So what is this project? I'm planning on doing a small platform made along the Thoroughfare Canal. The location will be right off Meridian near Macomb. It'll be a small path will be built to get to the platform, and I've had most of the details and design. I've had help with them from Mans Lumber and Finazzo Construction and many other resources that I've been working on. Here's the planned location of where the deck will be. It will be a 12 by 12 deck, and as you can see, it's going to be right on the Thoroughfare Canal. Here are some of the construction drawings that is going to have a rough outline of what the deck will actually look like. So what is this for? So Groseal has many native wildlife that we typically don't discuss in our community, as we know, like the deer and stuff, but there's many native species such as the wood duck, river otter, which are super amazing species that live right in our island home. So people get to learn about what actually lives in our Thoroughfare Canal and get to experience more of nature. And it could also be used for potential fishing for local kids or adults who want to fish in the Thoroughfare Canal instead of going off the bridges that say, do not fish there. This will also allow many people from Groseal just to get in touch with nature. So I think it'd be very useful. So about how long it will take, with your approval, hopefully it will be done around July and maybe August if the permits are delayed. I will be fundraising with GoFundMe. Permits are being submitted currently to GI, the county, and Army Corps of Engineers. And I'm going to have people from hopefully the wrestling team, football team, fellow scouts, and maybe NHS students who need hours to help me with the project. And I'm also going to be working with general contractors in my family and other resources to help me build some of the tougher parts of the project. So any questions?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have one question. Enzo, when you had that screen up, can you just tell the people so they know exactly where will be the trail that will get you to this? You said it was off. I know, and from seeing that, I can't really tell. So is this from the bike path to the Thoroughfare Canal by where the Meridian Bridge is, or is it at a different area?
So it's along right after the Meridian Bridge, and the plan is, I believe, from what I've heard, there's going to be a maintenance road being built along there, so that will make up a majority of the way out there. And after that, I'll be planning on building some kind of small wood chip trail. It's going to be not connected to the bike path, but it'll be across the street.
Joe, it's on the,
Yeah, trouble.
it's close, let's say around the apartments or the not the gas station, but the apartments. There's that opening that has been cleared that they've used for,
West side of Meridian.
West side
That's where I
Meridian,
had
that's,
the-
the opening is there. We thought
right.
that'd be a good way to get in there.
Okay.
If you look at the map, if I can break in for a moment, if you look at a map, you have Meridian that is going north, and then there is Lowry that breaks off at a 45. The canal is on the left or the west side. The area that's being used is what was grubbed out to put the lines in for the last portion of the north-south connector along Meridian. So if you step probably about 300 feet south of Lowry, and you look over on the left, there is that grubbed out area that was approximately 100 by 300. When we heard that the area was in need or somebody was going to use it to connect all the lines together, Derek had suggested, instead of taking 300 feet across the front of Meridian and tearing it up, why don't we take 100 and put 300 feet back? And then this project was presented to Enzo since it was already cleaned out. And a very easy thing to do. I've walked that with the supervisor and with the manager, and certainly with Enzo and his family. And if you look at it from Lowry, it's going to be just a little bit south and then dead west. There has been some thought of putting in a sign for crossing, so people using the bicycle pedestrian path can do that, and hopefully we'll be able to make it a safe crossing by complying, if it happens, by complying with all of the rules and regulations for crossings of pedestrians on a major artery like that.
Okay. Well, thank all of you for the explanation. Enzo, I just want to make sure the people at home understood exactly how to get to it so they can use that. So,
Of course.
and thank you, Carl and Jim, for
Yeah, thank you for the help on that.
helping that with me too.
Yeah, not a problem, not a
Here we
problem. There,
I don't have a question, it's mostly a thank you, and then more a question for us of what next steps is for us on this one.
since it's, the cost is, we have no cost on this. So really, if everybody is okay with the location, they can go ahead, we can go ahead and start it.
Do we have to vote on that?
No,
or-
we don't have to. If you'd like to, we can.
Okay.
We can do it either way.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I have one comment, which is, I think it's wonderful that right from the outstart, you've involved yourself in the permitting process and in working with professional contractors and making sure that you meet all the specifications. Past projects have not, we have always had to go back to make sure that they met the very same building codes that anything else in the township had to meet. My second question, though, is you had mentioned, and maybe fishing, would that be allowed? Like, can the township allow fishing on a, you know how they always
I
have
think-
regulations
Well,
about
you know, and I'm
road
thinking
ends
of
and
it,
so
we
forth?
have no fishing, I believe, at Sunrise Park.
Yeah.
I mean, that
So it's
would be-
within, it would be within the board's power, because it may not, I mean, it would be within the board's power to allow fishing at a site like that.
Yeah, and something that you have to
Yeah.
look at, because they're, you know, they're just like everything else.
Yeah.
You have to look at all those liability issues. So, I mean,
But I liked,
Yeah.
I liked his comment about the kids currently fishing off the bridges, which
Yes,
is lovely Mayberry RFD, but not exactly allowed. And so to have a safe place for, you know, kids of all ages to go fishing, I think is a really nice idea. So, you know, go for it. This is really, thank you.
I'd like to follow with two final comments on this. Number one, from the beginning, Enzo has been encouraged to work with community development, to work with Ross and with Derek on this, and the results have been very, very good. I think I've had one or two phone calls about questions as to who owns this, where do I go next. Enzo has really dug into this. And this is also an example of a family coming together and putting their money where their mouth is, because as I understand, you've got $300 worth of your family finances into the permitting process. And that's with applications for Eagle, Army Corps, all of the necessary entities. So again, advancing that, this is not going to be a cheap project. It's going to be a lot of work. But thank you. Thank you.
And I will ask again, is everybody okay with the site and going ahead?
Yes.
Okay, then I think we're good to go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Enzo, and good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
One more thing before we go into public comment, or I guess we could consider a public comment. Gentleman Mr. Larkin would like to introduce himself to us. So, John, you want to come up?
Thank you very much. My name is John Larkin. I'm an attorney in Wayne County, and I'm running for Wayne County Circuit Court Judge. And I wanted to come and introduce myself to the Grosse Ile Council as well as the citizens of Grosse Ile, and just tell you about myself for 2 minutes. I've been a practicing attorney here in Wayne County for the past 32 years, helping people in their most troublesome times, whether it be civil problems or criminal problems or bankruptcy or landlord-tenant. I've helped people resolve their problems for all this time. I've come to the point where my kids are now grown up. I actually have the time to run for Circuit Court Judge, and there's one open seat in Circuit Court Judge. And just for people unaware of what a Circuit Court Judge does, they do the felonies, they do the civil matters over $25,000, they do the family law matters. It's obviously a very important job, and it carries a lot of responsibility, and I think I've learned how to carry that burden and to be good representative of both the citizens as well as the government. Circuit Court is kind of where the intersection of those two meet, where the law and the citizens come together. Just a little bit about myself. I've been I've been married for 32 years. I'm sorry.
Practicing?
I've been it's a little bit, no. I've been actually married for 28 years, and I have 3 adult children. They're great kids. I have 2 furry friends. I grew up in Wayne County. I lived my whole life here in Wayne County, and I earned my living for my whole life in Wayne County. I hope to serve the citizens of Grosse Ile as well as the rest of Wayne County, and I'd ask that you take a chance and look at my website when you have the chance. It's Larkin 4 with the number 4 judge.com. So Larkin4judge.com. And I appreciate your time, and I will be on the ballot. And if you can look on it's in the nonpartisan section. So look for Larkin and vote for Larkin on August 6th or before. Thank you very much.
Mr. Larkin, quick question. We have 8,000 voters on this island, and we could use another observation deck if you're interested.
Well,
Good luck to you, sir.
Okay.
luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I will say, one of the hardest elected positions to vote for a resident is judge, because it's just hard to get to know who these people are. So I thought it was important that we had one that wanted to just introduce himself to us. So,
And I think one thing I kind of neglected was I grew up in Livonia, and I went to the St. Michael's there, and then I went to Brother Rice, and now I went to U of M, and then finally to U of D. So just a little bit about my background, and like I said, I've helped people pretty much for my whole career, and that's been my career, and I appreciate the time today. Thank you.
thanks.
Jim, can I ask you one question? I know that during the election year that we obviously can't say anything, if we're running for something, but are we allowed to say that we're endorsing someone? Is that against the issues?
I'm going to ask the clerk. I would think, at the board here, I don't know that we can, and I say that because just like when we have even a millage issue, we cannot tell the people, vote for that millage. We can only present it, and they have to make up and I would think it'd be the same on this.
Okay.
I would say certainly if they have a flyer and they approach you and they say, can I put your name on my flyer that you endorse me? I don't think we have a problem with that.
Right.
But sitting here at this table, I think we want to keep the line very clear. I do want to let we obviously have to let other candidates now know that they are also welcome to come up, because once you let a candidate come up,
And-
you got to open the door to all the
And-
candidates,
and
right?
as-
That's
As you
fair.
remember, we had the House of Representatives candidates
Yep.
come, we had
Yep.
the senators come. This is something that has been done before, but yeah, it is open to anybody
Yeah.
that
We-
wants to
and
let
I
us
think
know.
that's a wonderful way to introduce yourself. I'm not just speaking to you now, because I think it's very nice that you did come, but other candidates as well to come forward, because you have an opportunity to reach the voters who are at least politically engaged or community engaged and are watching township board meetings. So, I think that's a special demographic all its own. But and that is just fairness in communication, that we open this mic to
Yeah.
it.
candidates.
Thank you again very much.
Thank you.
Question, Joe.
Okay.
All right, moving along with other public comment on agenda items. Do we have anybody that wants to say anything on agenda items?
You keep looking at me. Not
I-
on the agenda item.
I'll hear from you later. Okay, with none, David, consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda 24-024, which consists of minutes of the May 13th regular meeting, minutes of the May 23rd special meeting, and check registers dated through May 31st, 2024.
Support. Any questions concerning the consent agenda? Seeing none, we have a motion to approve consent agenda 24-024, which consists of the minutes of the May 13th, 2024 regular meeting, minutes of the May 23rd, 2024 special meeting, and the check register dated through May 31st, 2024. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Our consent agenda passes. Thank you. Hang on here, too many notes. Action items, Joe, you
thank
have
you.
a couple?
All right, seeking approval to purchase a patrol vehicle with equipment and decommission the existing 1613.
Support.
Due to the mileage, age, and amount of repairs needed, it is no longer cost efficient to repair Grosse Ile Police Department vehicle number 1613, and it needs to be retired and decommissioned. A Pursuit rated 2024 Ford Explorer has been ordered. The cost of the vehicle is $45,795, with additional equipment estimated at $13,256.02. A vehicle purchase was not planned or budgeted for this fiscal year, so the vehicle and equipment will be purchased with federal forfeiture funds, which means there is no impact to the budget on this.
Thank you, Joe. Anybody got questions or comments? I just want to point out, because this comes up and there's always questions, well, you're buying a new vehicle, why aren't you, taking the lights, taking the siren, taking this, taking that, and putting it on? Doesn't happen. The vehicles change and nothing fits. So that's the reason for the additional equipment. They have to have equipment that fits. Anything else? Seeing none, nothing, we have a motion for approval to purchase a patrol vehicle with equipment and decommission the existing 1613 vehicle. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. They have the go-ahead for a new car. Joe, I believe you have number 2 also.
Recommend Township Board approval to upgrade the public safety building's internal, external Wi-Fi network in the amount of $7,546 to VCS and $9,925.22 to MDIS.
I believe it's VC3.
Oh, I apologize, it is VC3.
I support.
The public safety building currently utilizes a single Wi-Fi network that was installed over 10 years ago. The current network is only limited to the training room and can be used for limited events. The Grosse-Ile Police Department has received a quote from VC3 for $7,546 for a portion of the product. Metro Detroit Integrated Systems, a third-party vendor contracted by VC3 for the rest of the project, has provided a quote of $9,925.22. Total project cost being $17,071.22. VC3, the current township IT vendor, will have the entire public safety building rewired with Cat6 cabling, enabling the entire building to receive Wi-Fi. The new network will consist of 3 zones: police administration, which is secured, training room, fire administration, which is secured, and unsecured public access to the lobby. VC3 will install 5 internal access points and 1 external access point. The external access point will be utilized by Axon in-car patrol cars camera system for increased download speeds. This is a necessary requirement to finish the Axon project. And if I just may explain one more thing, Jim, on this. Some of this shows that what we have is in-car video. And when I was a chief, we had to get a new system that the cars would have to go behind the building and download that video. Well, there's new technology. It's faster, it's quicker, it's different now, but we still need this Wi-Fi system to do that. Plus, the officers will be going to the body cams, which are downloaded also. And when you get within a few feet, well, I don't know how many feet, it was like 25 feet before, of the back of the building, there's a radius of it, and it downloads everything you have. So whatever we do, it's safer for everybody. It's really a checks and balance, because as soon as things happen and you bring a car to a station, it downloads it. So this is why they have to get a new system. Plus, as you know, technology, wait 5 years, everything changes. And it's sad because it's so expensive. So this is the reason for those numbers, and this is the reason why the police department does need it. I just wanted to explain that last part.
Thanks. Yeah, that's interesting. And yet, with all the technology, it does change so fast. Any other questions or comments?
I had occasion to speak with Fire Chief Camilleri, and 2 things. If you look at the source of the funds, they're trying to do an awful lot with forfeiture work and take some of the burden off the taxpayers as much as possible. There's always a question of why do we need this? Is this necessary? John has advised that a lot of training is done online. And Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that there is no real reliable Wi-Fi service on the fire side. So when there is some training to be done or Wi-Fi in use, they have to go over to the other side of the building and attempt to have a stable signal with that, and this is going to cure that problem. So we're not just replacing, we're upgrading and making it much, much better.
Yeah, Carl's correct. Sometimes in the public safety building, if you guys out there are familiar with it, we have a large training room there. And sometimes in the training room, it's the same thing like your phone at home. I have to walk into different rooms and calls drop just from walking into another room. And that's what has happened during their trainings. So I'm not sure you can say they've guaranteed it, but they've stated the entire building will be hot. And you won't have those spots like you used to have. And it's important when you're training. And it obviously messes things up when you drop what you're training and have to restart things. So, yes, Carl, you're correct on that one.
Other comments?
I'll just say, well, I like the use of forfeiture funds, of course, and one thing I noticed was the public access in the lobby, which I think is really good. I think that building would be an important one for people to go to in an emergency, and having that public access to Wi-Fi, I think, would be very important. So I was happy to see that.
Good. David? No. Okay. With that, we have a motion. The Township Board approved to upgrade the public safety building's internal and external Wi-Fi network in the amount of $7,546 to VC3 and $9,925.22 to MDIS. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We probably long overdue upgrade to into the system. David, if you would, please.
Based upon a recommendation of the Groseal Airport Commerce Park Commission, the Township of Groseal hereby approves the purchase of a scissor lift and trailer from United Rentals for a total cost of $14,000.
Second.
Thank you, Joe.
The airport has been looking at purchasing their own scissor lift for the maintenance crew to use specifically in the hangars, the doors, and some of the other mechanical equipment within the hangar cannot be reached with ladders and shouldn't be reached by ladders. So if there are repairs that have to be done, they have to actually build scaffolding in order to do their job. The search was made to several vendors for a scissor lift. This is a used piece of equipment, and it's $14,000. A new scissor lift, probably in the $30,000 to $40,000 range. So this is the airport department, Janelle and her guys did a good job in finding this piece of equipment. It comes with a trailer, so it can be towed to other locations as they need it. And this amount it's built into the budget at the beginning of the year.
Very good. Other questions, comments? Seeing none, we have a motion based upon the recommendation of the Groseal Airport Commerce Park Commission that the Township of Groseal hereby approve the purchase of a scissor lift and trailer from United Rentals for a total cost of $14,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Janelle, you have a new toy. Thank you. And finally, make a motion that the Groseal Township Board hereby approve the following 2024-2025 Recreation Department and Downtown Development Authority budget amendments transfers.
Support.
Thank you. And with that, I'm going to call Ross up. This mostly stems coming from DDA down to rec.
All right, good evening, everyone. Just to start it off, so the $10,000 that the DDA will be reallocating from future capital improvements to our DDA grant program. We've seen a lot of investment in Amacombe so far this year, so we want to be part of that investment too, and provide some of these businesses with some DDA funds. So right now we have $10,000 budgeted, but we want to amp that up to $20,000. So that's one aspect of this. The other aspect is transferring $4,000 from our events funding to the rec department. We really want to create this cross collaboration between the DDA and the rec department in the future to help enhance and improve our events. One person can't do it all. We need to have the help of they got numbers over there. They can bring over picnic tables, chairs, speakers, that sorts of thing for some of our events. So and that's help funding for those people who will be doing that work. So. But as far as the Water's Edge pool complex, I'm not sure if Mr. Bundy, you want to speak to that one.
Well, I would ask the liaison,
Derek.
the liaison Derek, to liaison to the liaison. Yeah, some of the besides the 4,000 that rec is going to get, the pool expenses. The pool needed some update. Part of the initial budget provided for that, but as they got into it and the The vendors came out and looked at it. They found out that it was a little worse than what they thought. And part of it is the underwater lighting, as well as tile work. And they found out that tile had just been placed on top of tile rather than taken off and set properly. So various things had happened. There's railing problems with at the small pool, the children's pool. So this was that project, but it's going to be an increased cost. Derek,
That's a good explanation, that they ran into some things when they were refinishing the pool that they hadn't have anticipated. To ignore those wouldn't have been the right choice, because they ultimately would have had to been addressed maybe a year or two down the road, but at much greater cost. While they were in there, they might as well take care of it at that point in time. So good explanation, that's what happened, and as a result, the need for the additional funding.
And we actually had the special meeting to authorize the use of those funds at the, I can't remember the exact date now, but I think the rec is very happy to be doing this. I think it's long overdue, and it would not be responsible to put it off.
I certainly.
And of course, it has to be paid for.
Other
Thank
question?
you, Derek and Jim.
Thank you. Other questions or comments?
I mean, I'll just say, I know this happens sporadically, but I feel like this is happening more with our new finance director, where when we go off budget, approvals are asked for before we do that. So I'm really happy that that's happening. I generally support both what the DDA is doing and REC is doing. I may just make a process suggestion next time, and maybe separate them out, just so we can have folks on record for both the DDA vote and the REC vote. But I'm fine voting for both of them. I did have a question about the prior year resources. I don't have the budget in front of me for REC, but how much does that deplete the REC prior year resources for the pool?
I want to say they were right around $250,000, $250,000 in that range.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so they absolutely have the money to cover this, and it's not
Yeah, no, I
depleting their prior year resources down to a low figure.
No, I understand. No, that's good. Yeah,
Yep.
that's mostly what I had, but overall supportive and grateful that these things come to the board so we can review it and the public can see it as well. So thank you.
Anything else? No? Okay. With that, we have motion, the Groseal Township Board hereby approves the following 2024-2025 Recreation Department and Downtown Development Authority budget amendments and transfers. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Those will go through, and I think what it's spent on certainly will benefit the community. And that ends our action items for tonight. So next up is our public comment on any topic. 3 minutes, give your name and address. Is there anybody out there? Well,
Anybody else over there?
come on up. Good evening, Mickey.
Hi, hope you're all doing well. I wouldn't have had a ponytail in if I knew you were going to do this tonight. But I'm running for a trustee position. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I've been married 22 years. We got married 3 days before September 11th. We were in Hawaii, so crazy. But married to Brian. Brian works at Ford. He coaches a lot of teams. My kids, Nikki and RJ, are absolutely brilliant from going to Groseal schools. And Seth is somebody that I kind of adopted, and he's going to school to be a chef. Professionally, just to hit some of the highlights, I worked for Fortune 10 companies. At Ford, I was over the pension and savings plan for a while and went through bargaining with the union. Over $40 billion in assets on that. We did interest-based bargaining. At GM, I was a global benefits manager. And in between those times, I was a practicing attorney, which I am now. I work for Clark Hill now in the Labor and Employment Department. I specialize in employee benefits. As far as experience on a board, I'm on the executive board right now of the Groseal Nature and Land Conservancy. Used to be on the board for pension committees and other things. That stuff sounds all kind of boring. So if you go to my Facebook page, I'll tell you more about my platform, and then you'll see things you should know about me before you vote for me. Like I do not eat lamb because I had a lamb named Ralph when I was a kid, and other important things. So anyways, hope you vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mickey. Anyone else? Margaret? Welcome.
So while I am going to run for trustee as well, I have two things that I just wanted to mention that aren't specific to that per se. I had been emailing Wayne County Andy Kadrivas. I'm not sure how we pronounce his name.
That is correct.
As well as our state rep, senator, and our county commissioner for information on the Wayne County Bridge, probably in conjunction at the same time you probably were too. So specifically, I was inquiring about the meeting that was promised to residents by Mr. Condrivas in 2021, which never appeared. So while no response was received on that, Joe Palomera did say that there would be information, new information about the work he's been doing with the Detroit Public Works team in the next 10 days. So that should be, I would think, based on when he last emailed, probably next week sometime. Could be early this week. So, well, I know there was a recent request for information by you. I just think it's important to keep pushing for more dialogue and documentation. That's just my opinion. Because unfortunately, Wayne County has shown us we cannot just sit back and wait, and we cannot take them at their word, because there was corruption and malfeasance that has occurred in the past, and we just really need to get this information. I don't know, we have a lot of residents who are very concerned, and I feel our economic growth is dependent on our infrastructure. The residents' economic health is dependent on that as well. So if we're going to be shutting down the bridge for any long period of time, people need to be able to prepare their budgets. It's just really important, because I don't think we realize not everybody has, a spare $800 plus amount to spend on the toll bridge. And then one more thing that I saw today was that the DTE plant is turning into a battery energy system facility, storage system facility. So while that can be a really good idea, I'm all for, clean energy. I'm hoping that we also have been in contact with DTE on this as well with regard to safety concerns, because anybody that's in my job, I've been listening to, we call them BEVs.
You have 30 seconds.
Okay.
Please.
I think it's really important that we start looking at that with DTE, ask them what their plans are for how they're going to handle highly combustible things like lithium, because if there is thermal let go, that's something that we have to be paying attention to. Our first responders need to be aware of this, and if there's training required, perhaps we should look into DTE supporting that as well. I doubt it would just be Trenton supporting if an emergency occurred. Just my thoughts.
Thank you, Margaret. And I will be mentioning both those topics when I do my report, and some other ones might be off.
Sounds good.
So,
Thank you.
very timely on your part. Anyone else? Mr. Carmazon, how are you tonight?
Hello, Greg Carmazon, 21228 East River. Just wanted to follow up on Margaret's comments. I definitely think Grove Seal needs to pay attention to what's going on over at the DTE site. And one of the aspects of the project that I think bears particular attention is how could this potentially impact the county's plans to eventually replace the Wayne County Bridge. And I haven't seen any discussion about that in the plans that DT has made available to the public. I haven't seen the county make any comments on that. But I do know that as far back as 1978, Wayne County did a assessment of options for replacing the county bridge, the Parkway Bridge. And one of the likely locations for a replacement would be to the south of the existing span. So if they did that, they would potentially align with the DTE's property. And so if they're going to put, considerable investment into that property, that might rule out what the county, has been considering, at least in a planning stage for many years. Also, I'd point out that in 2005, then Congressman John Conyers secured it was $4.2 million to do a planning study for the replacement of the county bridge, and it contemplated the realignment of the traffic flow to the bridge from West Jefferson. And we never really saw any documentation from the county as to how that money was spent, but they did say that they reallocated it towards maintenance, which they may have done. But in any event, there definitely was an understanding at one point that there could be a realignment of the approach to the county bridge that would involve Van Horn. And if that actually went across the DTE site on an angle, you could open up land on the DTE site for development. So it's 16,000 vehicles a day going across that bridge, which is more traffic than goes through downtown Trenton on West Jefferson. So, it is potentially an economic development opportunity for Trenton too. But, now with this new project, I don't know how that, if that precludes that from being a possibility, but it is something I think that should be discussed. So, thank you.
Thank you, Greg. And just as a side note, I also will be talking about that topic. So you guys are all very timely with what you're saying. It fits right in. Anyone else? Is there anybody? I can't see behind the podium. Are we good? Okay, with that, we'll move on to clerk's report.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'll keep this short. Absentee ballots will be mailed out on or around the week of June 24th. That is our best estimate at this time. Early voting starts on Saturday, July 27th and runs through Sunday, August 4th and takes place here in the Township Hall. And finally, I am very proud to be a member of the Community Recreation Commission and its liaison. And we are meeting in this very room tomorrow at 6 p.m. It's a different night for our meeting. We did not have a quorum for last Thursday. So we will be here tomorrow. Join us in the room or watch us on the telly. Thank you.
Thank you, Uda. David?
Thank you. Well, it's that time of the year again. 2024 tax bills, summer tax bills will be mailed out the first week of July and are payable from July 1st through September 14th. And beginning September 15th, late penalty charges will apply. And just a reminder to homeowners, the original tax bills are mailed to the property owner at the address on record. If you deal with a mortgage company, the mortgage companies that have requested their copies of the tax bills will receive that. And if you fail to receive a tax bill, or you hear from your mortgage company that they have not received a tax bill, please contact the treasurer's office. And just in early June, last week, Wayne County sent out letters to property owners who have failed to pay their 2023 property taxes. A notification of unpaid 2023 property taxes will also be on your 2024 tax bill that you'll receive here in the next month. And that's it from the Treasurer's Office. The DPS Commission will be meeting tomorrow evening in the boardroom at 7 o'clock, immediately following the Recreation Commission meeting. And the next Airport Commerce Park Commission meeting is scheduled for June 17th at 6 p.m. here in the boardroom. And that concludes my report for the evening.
Thanks, Dave. Kyle?
Yes, thank you. I sit on the Planning Commission, which meets on an as-needed basis. There are no currently scheduled meetings in the future, but we did meet around Fresh Start last week. It was the third Planning Commission meeting on Fresh Start, including another ZBA meeting. So I do want to summarize that. Fresh Start, as most folks on the township, and I will say it will likely be coming before the board in July. So look out for that coming in July. But Fresh Start, as folks know, was a long and complicated issue. I've heard a lot of different things from different residents on it. But I will say I learned a lot and feel very proud of the township for really narrowing it down to what I feel is one very simple issue, which is setbacks. Very clearly, they do not meet the setbacks that they need, I believe, from under our current zoning ordinances. Planning voted it down, went to ZBA, planning recommended to ZBA that they vote the variance down. ZBA voted the variance down. It came back to planning, and it was voted down again. So for me, it seems like a very clear cut and dry issue, and it wasn't easy to get there. I know the township did a lot of work to figure out what was needed there to get there. But I'm glad it got to that, and will be before the board in that sense. So I learned a lot from it. There was a lot of feedback on how we could do that better. And one other thing I did learn is it's not time to change the process in the middle of something like this. So I'm glad that we'll be done with it soon, and we can look at things and how to improve them. Like just one example of something that I want to look at possibly is, it took a lot of meetings to get to where we did. So that caused a lot of uncertainty for folks. So I'm just wondering if there's a way to either, maybe not have to do a public hearing separate from this, or go to ZBA and then back to planning. So that's something I know that's in our code that I might want to review just to make things quicker for folks, spend less time, spend less money for a lot of people, and give more certainty to everyone is one thing that I've noticed. But yeah, there's just things like that I've noticed through the process. I'm glad we didn't change it during it, because that's not the time to do it. But it's something I learned, and I'm open to others' feedback on other things we could change through the process. But yeah, so that's planning. I did want to say something about Ethel Yops. I served on the Rec Commission for some years, and I will just say she was an inspiration. I didn't meet her. The first way that I knew of her was she used to publish a column in the Trenton Tribune that gave a lot of good information about what was going on. She was very diligent about writing that in the same way she'd show up to the Rec Commissions and just write everything out. Wendy Kearney, I believe, is still the secretary there. I know she always said Ethel was the best because she didn't need to take notes, because Ethel had everything written out for her. She could just take that, put it right in the minutes. And again, just an inspiration of how to serve your community, and did it for so long. I can only hope that I'm able to be as active as her as long as she was, and have the character she did. Like she like I think with the Uta described her very well, just very open to different perspectives, and also just saying what she felt. She wouldn't like lobby the rec board or rec commission or anything, but if there was something she didn't like, she'd say, hey, I'm voting no, even if she was the only one voting no, not in a bad way. It was just I know I'd be surprised, like, oh, Ethel voted no, I didn't know that was going to happen. And that can be hard to do when you want to go along with everyone. So yeah, just again, an inspiration. And yeah, she'd show up to events and go to parties too, which is pretty cool at 90 years old. So again, just a big inspiration. But yeah, so I'll say that. Another thing that's coming up that I want to talk to the board about is I've learned through being on various commissions and seeing various different commissions, is that each commission does things in different ways. And there are actually legal reasons why some commissions appoint commission members differently than others. And I understand those legal reasons, but knowing that commissions are made up of members, and that is probably, they end up being the backbone of a lot of what we do, I think it's important to find a way to maybe standardize them as best as we can, how we do commission appointments, just so that there's a very clear process for everyone to understand. If there's an opening, there's, that'll be announced in a certain way. There'll be an open interview process. I'm not saying that this is the way it should be done, but I'm just giving examples of things we could do to standardize commission appointments. I've asked Jim to put that on the next board meeting's agenda, a discussion around that. Jim has agreed, so that'll be on the next board agenda. And I can even, I'll talk to Derek about maybe things I can bring to that could be a proposal around policies and procedures or something like that. But yeah, it's just for me, I just think that if commissions are the backbone of what we do, I think standardizing that process and just making clear how we appoint people and opening that up to people would be something very, very good to do. And while I'm thinking of that, I know Mr. Flavin is here tonight. He's running for treasurer. He's mentioned getting commission board packets, to be put on the website just as ours are, and we did that during this board session. I will say again, similarly, because each commission and committee is different, they have different resources to be able to do that and prepare for that. But it's something I think we should aspire to as well, and just standardizing some of those things so that folks see how commissions work. I've got two more things. I know I'm going on long tonight. I want to talk both about the toll bridge and the Wayne County Bridge. Just on the toll bridge, I'm sure Jim might update, or if he can, if he's willing. What I found is people are like, I want more information, even though we give them all the information that is there. And what I think it's come down to is folks are just feeling like, hey, this is taking a long time. This is the same information you've given me before. But I think that's good. I think it's good we're taking a long time to do that right. And I know folks are impatient, but this isn't something I think you're supposed to rush. I think it's good we're doing everything we're doing, and we're getting to where we go. So I'll end on the Wayne County Bridge. Some of this has been mentioned already by Margaret Shelton, who has been doing some good emailing with Wayne County and got some information back. There's really been pressure on all sides. I know Jim meets with them in different ways. Mr. Porcerelli has pushed on them. There were Detroit news articles that came out not last weekend, but the weekend before, both around the toll bridge and just other construction projects around downriver. I know with the reporter, both times I said, hey, Wayne County promised us a public hearing. They didn't give us anything. So I know she specifically asked Wayne County, and Scott Cavutan, who's on Wayne County DPS and also a Trenton City Councilor, did give a small update there on what they hope to use the funding for. But really, we don't have a lot of good information. And they did promise an update to their website on this in the next few days. I will say I don't think that's enough. They promised us a public hearing. That's something I believe the folks of Grosse Ile deserve. It's not something that we're pulling out of our hat or asking in a way that's out of turn, I don't feel. Mr. Candrivas is the one that proposed it himself in the public. So I think it's just something we're holding them to, and that they should be doing for us. I know for me, again, as we're getting towards the end of the toll bridge process, like I want to know as much about the Wayne County Bridge as possible, and I think a public hearing would give us that. So I will end there, and thank you all for the time.
Thank you, Kyle. Carl?
I sit with the Fire Commission as well as Greenways Open Space. Regarding fire, we have, for the month of May, 50 EMS incidents, everything from a shortness to breath to 2 diabetic hypoglycemias, 1 cardiac arrest, 4 behavioral psychiatric episodes, 1 stroke. A number of other lesser health issues, but those are the kinds of things that your fire department deals with day in and day out. Year to date, we have had 295 calls versus last year's 260 calls. My math indicates that's about a 14% increase over last year. That is a rather significant number, and we are clearly on a path to exceed by a wide margin last year's record totals. So think about that, bear that in mind as you see your firefighters in the community. You know who they are, many of them. And just, if you get a chance, get up and say thank you. Shake their hand, look them straight in the eye and say, appreciate what you do. And that's 24/7, 365 days a year, all volunteers. Second group I sit on is Greenways Open Space. Again, thanks to Enzo for picking up this really, really big project. It's going to be just a great addition to that part of the island. I also want to thank Community Development and Township Manager Derek Thiel for helping to work with him, passing through the Eagle and the Army Corps and all the other applications and permits that are required. This young man is getting a lot of good support, but it's well-deserved. He's put a lot of time and effort into this already. So Enzo, thank you again. Another good example of volunteerism. Second matter is that we have benches that are going to be placed by the Greenways Open Space. We want to put 1 bench off of Meridian, where the Meridian Woods, off of East River, where the Meridian Trail ends at East River and connects all the way across to Meridian. There are no benches along East River in that area, and I think it'll be a welcome break to some of the people that are able to get out there and they're walking and could probably use a break, particularly some of our more senior citizens. Also going to have a second bench placed on the Ferry Gauge Trail at the Ferry Trailhead. And the final one is at the southeast corner of Ferry and Meridian, overlooking the canal, and that is just north of the bicycle pedestrian bridge over the canal. So hopefully we're going to get those done within the next month and a half, put pads down, have them anchored, and everybody can enjoy them for the balance of the summer. Number three, a couple of comments on Island Fest. I have followed some of the comments that were made on Facebook. There were some people that expressed unhappiness, dissatisfaction with the drone show versus the fireworks and that. I want to go on record as saying I very much appreciate trying something new, something different. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, let's improvement for next year or find another way to perhaps incorporate that in there. But my hat is off to Chad and to everybody on the commission, to the liaison. They really, really work hard. If you came out on Friday night, you saw them Saturday and Sunday, these are all volunteers. And they're not just there, they're planning this thing months and months in advance. They go out and see that all of the little things that make it an enjoyable experience from 1 to Ethel Yops 99 can come out and they can enjoy a nice weekend that's unlike any other weekend in the community. You have bands, you have all of the different kinds of vendors here. You also have the carnival, something for everybody, and they work very, very hard at it. So I sincerely implore and invite everybody who had taken the time to criticize and just make the negative out of something very positive on Facebook. I want to see you out here volunteering next year. If you have time to comment, you should have time to come out and volunteer. Be part of the solution. If you don't like something, come on out and be heard. Volunteer. Talk to Chad. Talk to somebody on the commission. Talk to the liaison. Be part of the solution. Again, volunteers, they shouldn't be slapped around. They should be thanked for making something such a positive for all of us that came down there and wanted to come down here and enjoy it. Finally, I too have known Ethel Yops for a very long time. I think the first time I met her was 5 years old. She was one of the founding families of St. Thomas Lutheran Church. And I believe that was back in 1963. Her husband, Bob, just an absolute huge figure. And when you're 7, 8, 10 years old and Bob Yops is towering over you and offering you a piece of candy, something you couldn't do today, you look at it and you think the guy is God. You know, this is wonderful. He carries candy in his pockets. It's like Santa Claus every Sunday. Ethel played the organ on Sundays at the church for approximately 4, almost 5 decades. Every Sunday she was there or found somebody that was a replacement. Not a worthy replacement, but a replacement. It is an absolute shame that the church, which was planning a 100th birthday party for Ethel in August, now is going to go without the guest of honor, but we're always going to be able to see and think about what a wonderful contribution this volunteer made to the community. She was just an inspiration. I refer to Ethel, as Teddy Roosevelt said, as walking softly and carrying a big stick. Softly was her voice. I never heard her raise her voice. I never saw her with any kind of a temper flare-up or anything else. And frankly, I wish that I could do as well. The big stick was her logic, because when Ethel sat down with you and looked you straight in the eye and said, here's my reasons for doing what I want you to do, and I want you to join me in doing this, you'd have a hard time looking at Ethel or your grandmother or any other woman of such import who carried herself with so much decorum and so much humility and telling her no. She was just wonderful. And the community was a better place because she was here, and it's a better place of all the hard work that she did. And that concludes my comments for tonight.
Thank you, Carl. Joe?
Good evening. I sit on the police commission, and we meet the third Tuesday of the month, 7 p.m. right here in the boardroom. Just to go over a couple of things here. The police commission is working on their marketing strategies for the renewal. What they want to do is they want to put out a couple of different ads just to show the people at Grosse Ile what the money is being used for and where it's going towards, and what would the impact be if the renewal doesn't go through. So I believe it's either in this next Grosse Ile Grand paper or the one after that. So, but they're going to try and get it in this one. Also, just some information about the new officer that we hired a little bit ago. He only has a couple of weeks left in the field training program. What the field training program is when you come from a new department or out of the academy, you have to ride with a field training officer for so many weeks, and you actually somewhat get graded. And then you move forward into each step, next step, and then at the very end, you're watched with the field training officer without that training officer doing anything except making sure you don't get into trouble. So we only have 1 week or 2 weeks left of this, then this young man will be able to go out on the road alone, which is definitely going to help our scheduling, our overtime issues. So that will really help. And also, I want to thank Margaret for what she said about the Wayne County. And as you know, Margaret, I want to put this professionally, and because you know I am sometimes, and you know they say you have the right to remain silent, but I just don't have the ability to. So Wayne County, I've had some issues with them from the beginning here. Once you catch them in certain areas, you lose a lot of you lose a lot of respect. And I don't want to say I have disrespect, but what's happening is I just hope this announcement that comes out will help the people of Grosse Ile. It's got to be a collaborative effort. Jim pushed for it. I pushed for it in the very beginning because of what he told us that we were going to have a public hearing. And I hope that's what this new epiphany or whatever is going to come in the middle of June from him. I hope that's what he's going to do. Again, it's Kyle then sent emails. And again, as I stated, the collaborative effort has to be with the people, with the board members. And the more that can put the pressure on Wayne County, it's a group of its own. There's no doubt. We all know how Wayne County works. And it's all about money. It's all about issues. It's all about what they feel the priority is. But we're still Grosse Ile, and we have to take care of our own. Because if we don't take care of our own, no one else will. I've learned that. And that's the important issue. This bridge, obviously, that's a huge issue. The Grosse Ile Township Schools and their multi-million-dollar program and their rebuilding project that they have now, they had such timing issues, they weren't sure if they needed to change where they stored some of all their surplus because they weren't sure when they could get over the bridge or not, because this is going to be ongoing for a few years. So the whole thing is thank you, Margaret, for doing that. That's very good of you to reach out to them, and I hope that, again, Jim said he's going to have announcement, not announcement, but he's going to cover that tonight in his at the end when the supervisor's report comes out. But again, I don't mean to sound so, I get defensive when it comes to them stepping on the people of Grosse Ile, and I know they do things in a certain way, and all I want is the truth. That's all I want from them. And I just, once again, I just want to say thank you to you. Thank you to Kyle. Jim, thank you for trying. I sent the letter out. Derek worked with me. I met in Derek's office, and we went on the conference call even. So I'm not really sure what's going on, but I'd like to see that done. The public hearing is a start. It's communication. And if you don't have communication, if you ever noticed in life you have doubt with people, if you can't communicate with them and they don't communicate with you, and you know that they know they're not communicating with you, then you just have doubt and you have suspicion. And for good reason, for what you named, Margaret, about their past, there's obviously issues. So thank you once again. And Jim, I'm sorry if I kind of stepped on it a little bit for your report.
No,
but it's just important to me that obviously I want a good relationship. I want to start fresh with them, with me personally. I really do. But there's just some things that you let them walk all over you. I think that's the kind of entity that will continue. So anyway, that's it for tonight, and thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Derek.
Good evening. Just a few items tonight. This information will be distributed by other methods as well, but wanted to remind the residents of a very busy day on June 21st with the demolition of the DTE boiler buildings. So the Free Bridge, the Wayne County Bridge, will be undergoing a series of opening and closing throughout the day. So starting at 4:30 a.m. on the 21st, Wayne County is going to be performing a test swing of the bridge, which should take about 20-25 minutes. So that'll be from about 4:30 to conservatively thinking probably around 5 a.m. when it'll reopen. The bridge will remain open from 5 a.m. until when it closes once again at 5:45 a.m. That closure at 5:45 a.m. is for the demolition of the structure across the river. They are going to have vibration monitors on the bridge just to make sure that the bridge didn't experience any significant vibration that would result in additional inspections that would be necessary. They didn't experience any when the smokestacks came down. We don't expect that that'll happen again, or this is, I think, is probably less severe than those smokestacks were. But nonetheless, they're going to put these monitors on the bridge. They'll test those monitors or take the readings from those monitors. If everything is clear, they expect to reopen the bridge sometime between 6:15 and 6:30. The bridge will remain open from 6:30 a.m. until about 9 a.m. The bridge will close again at 9 a.m. and then reopen at around 3 p.m. And the purpose of the 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. closure is because they're going to be doing their routine inspection, which I think they do every 6 months, using a bucket truck which has a articulating arm where they can go up underneath the bridge and do their inspections. So that's the purpose of the 9 to 3. Once again, this information will be available on our website. I believe the police department actually already put some of this information out, but the residents, that's a very busy day with a very detailed schedule, so you can plan your day accordingly. Please take note of that and look for that information if you don't hear about that this evening. The DTE event on the 21st, there was a mailer that was going out to residents. I received mine today, and everybody else should be getting theirs today as well. But that mailer has information about the event. The bridge will be closed once again at 5:45. The event is scheduled for 6 a.m. It should only take about a couple of minutes. The supervisor, myself, public safety have been on phone calls with DTE with regards to the event. They've assured us that all the necessary precautions, environmental issues have been addressed, and there's information there that'll be coming to your home that'll provide you with additional detail on the event. So look for that if you haven't already received it. Also, there was a post on Groseal Now with regards to a notice that I believe was in the newspaper about an inspection taking place on June 12th. Just wanted to clarify that inspection is actually an inspection on the toll bridge, and that is part of the inspections that we're doing as our due diligence for consideration of purchase. That is more of a notice towards marine traffic. There isn't any traffic backups or closures of the bridge that's anticipated. That notice to mariners is just to let them know that that bridge will not operate open and close as it normally would on a normal day because of the need to keep it closed for the underwater inspection. So hopefully that addresses some concerns that were out there. And then last but not least, I want to go off of Trustee Bletcher's comments about the volunteerism with Island Fest. It takes a community to put on an event like that, and the community really showed out to make sure that the residents had a good time, that residents in other communities coming to Groseal had a good time. It was a great event. The weather held out for the most part, so thank you to everybody that volunteered and helped out with that event. It was a great time, I think, had by all. So, yes.
Derek, one quick question on a different topic, if you're...
Most definitely.
All right. I've received several questions about when the striping is going to be complete, when the grading is going to be done along Meridian. I live on Ferry, and the cones are starting to actually grow and little trees coming out of them. I'm wondering if you can address when we expect to have that done so that people out there have as much information as we do.
We've been in contact with the county about that. We understand the concerns. They have told us by the end of June, Meridian should be striped. So that's the answer we've received from them, as well as the cones. They from my understanding from them, is the cones have to remain until the project is 100% complete. So until it's striped and the project is closed out, the cones have to remain. But they tell us by the end of June. I understand there are safety concerns that people have voiced, and those concerns have been passed along to the county as well. The visibility, the fog line, the center line, all those things are very important, obviously, for driving, traversing that road. So we've tried to make them aware of those concerns, and that's the response we've received.
Second question goes to the shoulders that we're looking at. Again, I live on Ferry, and I think that when the mail delivery comes, their two wheels are off the edge of the road, and now we're getting collection basins for water that probably should be drained off. Are there any plans to address that? Again, two more questions I've had from citizens.
Yes, part of our contract with ASI, which was the contractor that did that paving, was shoulder work, so they should be coming back shortly to finish that up, get those cones out of there, and wrap that project up.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Don't go too far. Thanks, Derek. And thanks for talking about the DT demo of the building, because that takes it off my list. Quickly, next DDA meeting is 6:30 on Thursday, the 27th, here in the boardroom. I believe it was at our last meeting. It might have been the meeting before. We were talking about Jefferson Avenue, and we were talking about air monitors. I just want to let everybody know that not only are there air monitors there, but Wayne County is actually deploying 100 air monitors across the county. So it was a much bigger project than just that area. So they have them out there. DTE plant. Derek and David and I attended the groundbreaking ceremony today for the battery storage facility that will go in there. And everybody was there. We had federal officials from President Biden's office. We had the governor was there. Debbie Dingell was there. Our state representatives, state representative and senator were there. Wayne County officials, and I will say, number one, that we were recognized for being there and supporting our fellow downriver community of Trenton, which is not a bad thing. Yes, there's, Derek has it popped up. This was a picture that they had of it. It's going to be the largest battery storage facility in the Great Lakes region. And the whole idea with it, or one of the main ideas, I should say, with it, is up to the point of having something like this that can retain energy, energy that's produced. They would produce energy on an as-needed basis, and if they got overwhelmed, we'd have problems. With this facility, they will be able to, in lower request times, be able to produce excess energy, store it here. When we get into a high heat and we're running our air conditioners, they will then kick these batteries in to supply the grid, and they will have the energy. It was very interesting. I certainly would open it up to Derek and David to make comment of the people there, and talking about this and talking about DT. Certainly Trenton was very pleased. They thought they were looking at a demolition and empty vacant land, not knowing what the project was going to be. And quite frankly, very quickly, DTE came up with this idea. So Trenton's tax base won't be as bad as they thought it was going to be. But along with any new thing, as Margaret pointed out, there are safety concerns. I don't recall them talking about that, but it's certainly something I will look into with them. Along those lines, bridge property, Derek and I both, we took a look at this picture, and I will tell you, since the bridge was shut down and then reopened, I've been talking to our Wayne County people, our state and our state representatives. I've been talking to DTE to try and get everybody to sit down and talk about that, because to me, the ideal place for the new bridge would be coming across around Van Horn, coming into the Groseal approach off of Van Horn, and certainly, I don't know, without a lot of disruption to this island, where else you can put that bridge. You have to have it close to where the other one is, plus the fact, and I've been emphasizing this to them, guys, whenever that happens, we want that other bridge to be up and running until you get the new span done. If we get closed out of this and they have to put that new bridge exactly where the old bridge is, that would be truly an inconvenience for people on Groseal, because that would be a long, long period of closing down Parkway. So seeing that picture, Derek and I have already approached DTE personnel at that meeting to talk to them about that, and I will also again be getting on the phone with our county, state representatives to say, guys, we have to, this is a good point. I've been on them saying, you can't wait. Something's going to happen. Well, something is happening. Yes, that is a big concern, and something that will be certainly that I will go forward on. And as I said, Margaret, I will check into the safety. That wasn't discussed, as I recall, today, but we will talk to them about that. Wayne County and the bridge, as you know, everybody, and I find no problem in us asking Wayne County for the meeting or for whatever. When I talk to them about it, and I get the same thing you do. We're not, and what I've been told is we're not going to do it until we have definite plans, which is fine. And I understand that. I also understand that shouldn't stop us from continuing to ask them. It doesn't fit our need, but that's where they're coming from. And dealing with anybody, you have to try and understand where they're coming from too, and it helps with trying to get something done. Along those lines, I believe what we might be hearing when they update their webpage is that the $20 million that the county officially accepted from the state, and that we have a copy of the check downstairs, that's going to be used for the piers, the islands, the abutting islands that are there, and for electrical work. They also have contracted with H&H Engineering to do the design of the structural work that needs to be done. I also believe there won't be any work done at the earliest 2025. I don't believe any work will be done this year. So all we can do, I contact them no less than bi-weekly. And I'm always asking the same questions about the bridge, about the other work that they're doing on the island, or supposed to do on the island. So that's all you can do. That really is all you can do. But you need to be continually on them. You don't want to step away. So we will do that. I really want to sit down and talk about that bridge property because, as I say, I don't see any other place that that bridge can go but there. Any comment from you gentlemen regarding the meeting today or the ceremony over it?
Just that they were, they were very clear. The CEO of DTE was there. This has been being worked on certainly by DTE for over 3 years. I believe that they indicated that construction would be completed by the end of 2026. And when completed, this facility will provide at a minimum 10% of the renewable energy that the entire state will have.
It's 10% of the state's goal will be in this facility alone.
So it's there are a lot of people there, a lot of people excited about it. The individuals from Washington that were there were highly supportive of the project. First, the whole idea of renewable energy, but this project in particular. So it was good to hear.
Thanks. Derek, anything? Okay.
Can I
Yes.
say something on the safety aspect of it?
Sure,
a little
yes,
bit?
absolutely.
There are risks inherent in everything, and lithium does have its risks. That's why you can't take more than a 100-watt battery on an airplane. Generally, though, what I found with lithium is that it's cheaply made batteries that aren't well constructed that leads to fire risks. These are going to be different. They're going to be constantly monitored, looked in and out. I'm not saying there's no risk. I want to be very clear about that, but it's just very different from the things you see on the news about lithium batteries exploding.
Right.
It is still worth a good example. There was a coal plant that was burning stuff, and that was a risk too. And I think we did get called. Our fire department got called to help with that at some point when something was going on there. So it is worth making sure that our fire department has plans for any lithium fire. I don't think they'll spontaneously combust like some of these cheap batteries, but if there was a fire nearby or something like that, I could see
certainly
some
something
kind,
that has
some
to be
kind of
walked
risk.
on.
So I think it is worth our fire department looking into, if they're ever called to support Trenton or anything like that, what would be needed there. As folks can see, where they're constructing it is pretty far from any kind of residential area or anything like that. Again, I'm not saying there's no risk, but at least in terms of Groseal safety, I don't see it, except for our fire department, if they were called into something, anything happening to us, I would say,
And DTE has been in contact with the Downriver Mutual Aid, and they've been talking to people. I mean, this is a well-planned project, not to minimize the fact, and absolutely you need to emphasize safety, but it is not that it has gone without that, and the fact that, this is just not things there that are not going to be monitored. They're going to be looking at them constantly. Not to say something couldn't happen, but certainly they're going to have the suppression there. But it's still something that we need to know about, and we'll talk to them about and hopefully report back to you. All right. With that,
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Quick out of the
okay,
gate there.
it's almost like he knew. And
Second?
Joe seconded it.
Already? Wow.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We never get an opposed.
Never.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you for staying.